Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock and this is City of Heroes. We are with Liberty Lass. Our level 31 character has 1.5 million experience earned, 130,000 to go to get to level 32. Nearly 9 million influence. And we're on a story arc already. Even though I haven't actually started it, doing the last mission somehow put us on a story arc in progress, the Freakshow War. So off we go with that. And we're going to be defeating some freaks in Perez Park. So where am I? I am in Kings Row. Okay. Took me a second to orient myself there. I was in Wentworth and I just flew out of it. And I wasn't thinking, where am I? Alright, so we are heading to Paris Park, so let's go to Atlas Park and we'll just fly over there. We could have gone through the super base, but this will be just as quick. Since Atlas Park is a really small zone. It's funny, when I first started playing City of Heroes, and of course all I could do was sprint, right? It felt like a large zone to me, really big. And you don't realize how small it is until you get to zones like Skyway City or Independence Port, which are much bigger. And you realize just how small, just how quick it is to get from the middle of Atlas Park to the far side. It's way quicker than doing that in Independence Port. I mean, if you mark, say, that store over there, it's only half a mile to the center. And so the whole zone is less than a mile across, and Independence Port is like 2.5 miles or something from north to south. This is also a small zone. It's only about 6/10 of a mile across. And again, this felt like a gigantic zone when I first started playing the game, and I hadn't been to the other zones yet, you know. So, we're going to defeat all the freaks in the lab. So this is a defeat all. Also, I do want to point out, even if the mission isn't to defeat all, what somebody said in the help channel when one of the other players, was sort of a newer player, was looking for, I guess, glowies. Heck, it doesn't have to be a newer player. I didn't realize this. And I'm not sure how long this has been true, because I don't think it was true in the live game. Or at least it wasn't when it first launched. Let's put it that way. When you get, I know it's been the case for a long time that when you get all but the second to last glow, when you get all but the last glowy done, right, when you finish the second to last glowy, the last one lights up as a little white star on the map, and that's to help you find it, because people were struggling, especially on big maps, with, you found all but the last glowy and now you can't find it even with the little noise that it makes. And somebody was saying, if you can't find the glowies, even if there are more than one left over, it sounds like you can, if you defeat every single enemy, any remaining glowies will pop up. So maybe we should test that at some point, actually. Can't do it here because, well, I don't know, we could do it. Yeah, let's try it. Right, what I think I'll do is I'll defeat everybody and then see if the clues light up. Now, this could make the mission take longer because if the clues are on this floor, we'll have to come back to it if it's like a 5-story mission. But let's try it. Let's try it out and just see if... So there's a glowy right here. I'm going to actually pin it so we can come back to it in case we need it. Right, let's just pin it right there. It's close enough. I can find it again that way. But let's see if it actually lights up after we have defeated everybody. Now, there is a risk, since it's a defeat all, that after I defeat everybody, it might trigger anyway, but I don't think it will. Sometimes it will do that, you know, it'll say defeat all and click X or Y, like with the Toothbreaker mission, right? With, not the clues, yeah, if we go to the souvenir here, Toothbreaker, right? This thing, you have to click that glowy before you walk out of the mission, I think. You get a mission complete, even if you haven't clicked on it. And so if you defeat Toothbreaker and you click the mission complete, the glowy doesn't need to be clicked. Donations are now open. So there's another glowy. If I mark this, it'll unmark the other map, I think, so I won't mark it. It's right by the elevator, and you can hear it from the elevator, so that should be fine. And there is a red lieutenant. Wow. 3 misses in a row with a 70% chance to hit. Just great. Alright, so we're not gonna touch any glowies. We will free the reporters. We have to do that to defeat all anyway. But we won't touch any of the glowies, and we're gonna see if they all light up after I defeat everybody. Because that seemed to be what they were saying, and this is a good way to try to test it. Let's hope this works, and that in fact they will still need to be clicked on after we defeat everybody. I just don't know. By the way, I have devised a 4th costume for Liberty Lass for Season 4, even though we're nowhere near that yet, because I like designing costumes, so you guys will see that in the 4th season. For Season 3, she'll be wearing the white top. Season 4, she goes back to a red top, but instead of a blue cape, she's going to have a white cape, and her skirt will be red as well as the top, instead of having a blue skirt. And her gloves, I think, and boots are blue. Or maybe the gloves are white and the boots are blue. I can't remember. I played around with it and sort of changed it. It's still got the stars and stripes, of course. Because she's Liberty Lass. That's obviously the design she should have. Okay, come with me. Come on over here, guys. Come on. Alright, so now we got a group. Let's go ahead and AoE them. And AoE them again. There we go. Like to see that. See if we can stun. That's right, that's what we want. And stun this guy. And you can see, and I want to remind you guys, we're on yellow enhancements. When we have green ones, will be way more effective. Oh, the other thing I did want to point out, somebody said you can find in the debuff resistance, there's the recovery resistance, right? This is the resistance to being slowed. I was saying I couldn't find it, that's where it is. So I can't remember who said it, but whoever mentioned it, thank you very much. And now we've shown it to everybody, so hopefully everybody who wants to find it can find it. Another miss. Yeah, so we definitely, I think, are going to need the 2 accuracies as we add more slots to these powers. We've got them on the ones that are 6 slotted, so as we start slotting these other powers, we're going to need to double accuracy them. Again, maybe not Power Crash, because Power Crash starts out with a 1.2, doesn't it, by default? Oh, no, which one starts? Total Focus starts out with a 1.2 by default, so we probably won't need double accuracies on that. Single will be enough, but for most of the other ones, if we're going to keep fighting +2s and +3s, we're going to need double accuracy. At least until we get sets, and sometimes sets will give you like just a generic overall accuracy buff. So it's interesting. Did my pin end up on this map now? Maybe pinning didn't do me any good. I thought it only stayed on the map level that you pinned it on. Man, I can't believe how much I miss when I have 70+% to hit. You would think with 70+% to hit, you'd hit 70% of the time, but it sure as heck doesn't feel like it. Wow, one shot at that guy. Oh, I didn't wait for this guy to recharge, to regen. So he respawned. Ah. I thought I locked these numbers here so that I wouldn't accidentally... One of the definite things about the Freaks is they do tire you out more just simply because you have to fight them, you know, 2.5 times sometimes, right? If you don't get them before they do their dull pain. And then if they wake up, you end up with having to fight them basically 2.5 times. Come on. Alright. So this will free the second of the 3 reporters. There's just one left who's probably upstairs. Oh, one thing I want to mention, if you've noticed, the numbers are a little different. One of the things they did in the update, I guess, is if there's less than 10 seconds, fewer than 10 seconds, it seems to turn kind of green. If there are like 10 to 20 or 30 seconds or whatever, it's sort of yellow-orange, and then it's red if it's like more than 40 seconds, something like that. You can watch to see the colors. Okay, how did I miss one of these guys? But they made some changes, so when you fire a power, by default now it doesn't shrink down to nothing. It just grays out and stays full size, and then they give you the timer. And the timers, I think, by default, are only shown if the power recharges in longer than 10 or 15 seconds. I can't remember the number, but I went back and I set it so that it does it for everything. And I also set it so that they would shrink, because I want it the old way. Alright, so it's not showing the hostages, but this is a weird one because this might be the 3rd reporter. And then the other one will light up, but it would have lit up anyway because it's the last glowy to click on. So I guess this wasn't the right mission to test that with. Go away. I was concerned that might be the case. So what we really need is a mission that asks us to click on a number of glowies, and then don't click any of the glowies and defeat everybody in it, and then see if all the glowies like light up. Because that's what it sounded like they were saying would happen. Alright, so let's talk to Neil. And he says, shame we weren't able to save Schwarzwald. Now we're going to meet Joe Baker in Independence Port. So let's see. Let's go back to our base. And we'll just head there. So yeah, somebody talked about, I asked in one of my earlier videos in Season 2 what role-playing games people have played, and somebody listed a bunch of their role-playing games, and I probably played almost as many different MMOs, although not the exact same ones as that person who made the comments, but I definitely haven't played as many tabletop role-playing games, and different tabletop role-playing games. I played Dungeons and Dragons, of course. I played, very briefly played the Indiana Jones role-playing game, like 2 sessions, I think. I played Champions, of course, Rollmaster. I'm trying to think. We played the Amber role-playing game for like 2 sessions. I'm trying to think what other ones did we do in college. And I don't know if you want to count different D&D editions. We played both Basic Expert and AD&D First Edition. I don't think we did Second Edition because by the time that came out, we had switched to Rollmaster. And then recently, D&D Fifth Edition. I've never played Third Edition. I played D&D Fifth Edition. I have the Third Edition rule books, and I played Neverwinter Nights, but I didn't actually play Third Edition D&D in person. Savage Worlds, Deadlands, and that's about it. I have tons of role-playing game rulebooks on my bookshelf, 13 or 14 different ones. I think, as I mentioned in a previous episode, the 14th one, I think it would be your 14th or 15th. I just ordered Shadow Dark. I got Call of Cthulhu sitting on my shelf, Dungeon Crawl Classics now. Stars Without Number, Lion and Dragon, Scarlet Heroes, Delta Green, Forbidden Lands. What else have I got down there? The Star Trek Adventures, yep. So those are ones that I have, but I've never played. And frankly, I'm enjoying Savage Worlds so much that I could see myself playing that in different settings using the different companions for a long time if my role-playing group wants to do it. I would love to do some East Texas University, or at least something using Horror Companion. They're just coming out with Sci-Fi Companion, so I would love to get in on the Kickstarter of that, and then when that comes out, go ahead and do some science fiction stuff with my group. But as I've said, one of the problems with my group is we only play every 2 or 3 weeks for 3 hours. So, it's hard to switch games when you're doing that because, it takes so long to just finish even a short campaign. It takes like a year that we can really only switch role-playing games maybe once every couple of years. And, we have the problem that one or two of them really very much prefer certain settings, and I was actually shocked that my best friend was willing to play Deadlands at all, because he doesn't tend to like Wild West type stuff, but he seems to be enjoying it. I know one of the other players absolutely loves the setting and is totally into it, which I'm glad about. Personally, I would love to run ETU. Having watched the entirety of the East Texas University campaign, and it was the Degrees for Horror campaign that they publish, that the Wildcards group played, having watched the whole thing, I would love to run the Degrees of Horror campaign. Now, I can't for my group because one of the players has seen the entire thing more times than I have. I've watched the whole series through twice. She's on her 3rd or 4th watch through. I think I've mentioned this before. She commutes like an hour to work, so she just listens to the episodes in her car because they produce them as podcasts as well as YouTube videos, and so she just downloaded all the podcasts and onto her iPhone, and she just listens to them. And so I can't run the campaign as written, but I think I've mentioned this. I would love to advance the timeline 10 or 15 years and have actually use the player characters that the show had as NPCs, as little Easter eggs or whatever for her. Wouldn't mean anything to the other players, but she would get a kick out of it. And I could use some of the NPCs and locations and some of the lore that was used in the Degrees of Horror campaign, but there'll be some sort of a different thing going on that they have to investigate. And I'll probably do it more of a Lovecraftian style than the way ETU was done. And the people who wrote ETU, I guess, described to Jordan Caves Callerman, who was the GM, that ETU is supposed to be what they refer to as heroic horror. So, the characters kind of are expected to live for the most part, and you're much less likely to live in a Lovecraftian horror. So it might be a bit more deadly of a game than what they were running, but that's okay. So I would love to run that. I would dearly love to run that one. I would actually be thrilled to run that maybe after my Deadlands campaign is over. That's got a ways to go, I think, because I'm pretty sure they're going to want to keep playing it after we get to Dirtwater, which will happen in a few weeks. At the end of Blood Drive, there's the option to stop. I think they're going to want to keep going. So I would love to run that. On the other hand, there's other cool stuff. I wouldn't mind running Holler, which is a sort of a Appalachian horror campaign. I've got all the stuff to run that, and I wouldn't mind running that too. There's so many cool settings in Savage Worlds that I'm always down to run some Savage Worlds. On the other hand, Shadow Dark looks pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind running that, even though it's very D&D-esque and it has armor class and hit points, and I'm not a big fan of those mechanics. It's a cool enough game in other ways that I'm willing to, overlook the mechanics that are kind of the blunt force instruments which is why I don't like them. I also wouldn't mind running some champions at this point. I think I could. The main sticking point would be that my best friend would insist on playing the newer editions, and I refuse. So, I mean, if he wanted to run it, he could do what he wants. But if I'm running it, it's 4th edition. Unless people really wanted to play 2nd edition, I could run that. But I won't go past 4th edition. And I know he would. He always wants to play the newest edition. He always assumes the newer edition is better. And there are lots of cases when new editions have made things worse. Right? A different company takes over, different creators come in. They don't have the same aesthetic as the original creator, and sometimes they make the game decidedly worse. And by the way, I think by his own admission, 3rd edition Champions was dramatically worse than 2nd edition. They made a lot of mistakes with that edition, and they screwed it up a lot. And you can see how they undid a lot of the things, like how growth and shrinking and density increase and desolidification work, or not desolidification, but the other 3. And also, when they did the redo of the 2nd edition base rulebook, they didn't update Champions 2 and 3. So it was really awkward that you had the Champions, you either had to not use Champions 2 and 3, or you had to use the 2nd edition Champions 2 and 3 stuff with the 3rd edition Champions base rules, which was very messy. So I've never met anyone who thinks 3rd edition is an improvement over 2nd edition, and I don't know anyone who played it. Everybody I know who played Champions, we all bought the rulebook, said this is stupid, and went back to 2nd edition. And we played 2nd edition for years, right? Because 2nd edition came out in, I think it was 81, 82. And 3rd edition came out in 84 or 5, and 4th in 89. And literally from 82 to 89, everybody I know who played Champions played 2nd edition. Nobody went near 3rd. So even my best friend did not play 3rd edition, even though he likes the newer editions. And that's great evidence that it's not necessarily an improvement when they make a new edition. You hope it will be. The expectation is they're going to clean up all the mistakes and fix it. Do you see all the missing I'm doing here, guys, with 70% to hit? The expectation is they're going to clean it up and fix it, but a lot of times their attempts to fix things ruin it or make it worse. Fix it the wrong way, right? They do the wrong thing, and it becomes more unbalanced or harder to run, more complicated. That's, by the way, what 3rd edition did. There were a lot of things that you could keep in your head in second edition that became these complicated tables. In third edition, you had to look them up. They got rid of much of that in fourth, but not all of it, which irritated me. And one of the reasons I loved second edition so much is once you read the rules and you learned the algorithms for each power, and there were only a few algorithms that applied to all the powers, you could run the whole game without looking at the rules. I never opened the book. We didn't need it. We knew how once we knew how all the powers worked, we were done. The only thing we had to sometimes look up was things like the defense and body of an object. So it's not always the case that the new edition is the best, but for whatever reason, my best friend is always, what have you done for me lately? He always wants the newest of the new. That's what he likes. And so I think it'd be a very tough sell to convince him to actually play 4th edition champions. I'm sure if he DMs D&D, I'm sure he's going to want to use whatever they're updating it to in 2024. And I sense an argument brewing over that because I'm not giving Wizards of the Coast any more money for a whole variety of personal and ethical reasons. And as a result, I'm not buying anything for the new D&D. I'm not buying any more D&D stuff. So if I can make a character using the rules in the books that I have, that's fine. Or if he wants to, provide me with the rules in some way, like if there's a way to share it, we don't know if there will be. I'm okay with that, but I'm not buying the rules myself. I'm not giving Wizards of the Coast any more money. And I'm going to be very, very reluctant to use their virtual tabletop just because it seems too much like a video game to me. And I really don't want the virtual tabletop to become like this. Right? I don't mind playing City of Heroes with my friends, but playing City of Heroes with my friends is not playing tabletop role-playing games with my friends. They're totally different experiences, and I want more of that sort of theater of the mind tabletop experience. I'm not saying you can't use maps and grids, but that's fine. But when you're talking about having all these animations and that kind of stuff, no, I want to use my imagination. That's the whole point of playing these games, is to use your imagination. And so I have the feeling, because he's going to want to use all the tech and he's going to want to use all that stuff because he thinks it's awesome and he likes it, and I think he'd be perfectly happy if we literally turned D&D into a video game because he likes playing video games, and I like playing them too. I'm doing it right here, but not as my tabletop role-playing experience. It's a different type of experience that I'm looking for from tabletop. So I don't know. I think we could have some pretty serious issues if we were to try to play champions, or when we go back to D&D. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it because I feel like my best friend is going to really want to almost fight about it, because he always likes the newest, and I just don't know if he's gonna, if it becomes too 6th edition-y, whatever edition they're gonna call the new edition, I might not want to play it at all. And I don't want to be one of those guys, right? I don't want to be like, oh, I'm not going to play with the group anymore because of the game. But I'm also not going to make myself miserable every week. It's just not worth it. And I'm not giving any money to Hasbro. So, which is what you're doing when you buy WotC products. I'm not giving money to Wizards of the Coast, whether they're Hasbro or not. Sort of the Microsoft of the tabletop world. In fact, the one friend of mine calls them micro WotC, micro Wizards of the Coast, because they're, they have a Microsoft executive running the company now, and he agrees they act like Microsoft and in the role-playing game world. And so he calls them micro Wizards of the Coast. You know, he does it with me, and that's fine. He calls them that, like, he does that in his posts on, like, other Discords and forums and stuff. I'm like, do you realize that people don't know what you're talking about when you write it that way? I'm sure some people get it, but a lot more people are like, what do you mean micro Wizards of the Coast? What are you talking about? You know. So in the comments, guys, are there like role-playing games that have multiple editions? Are there editions you won't play? Favorite editions? I know that the only edition of Call of Cthulhu I know is 7th, but I know there are a lot of people who feel like some of the earlier editions were better. I think it was 2nd edition is considered the best edition by sort of the connoisseurs of Call of Cthulhu. Not sure what the differences are. Um, and I think other people have argued that 5th edition was really good, or 4th edition, one of those. I'm not sure, you know, what the changes were, because the only edition I know is 7th. Savage Worlds has gone through some editions, and although I like Suede, Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, a lot, there are actually a couple things about Savage Worlds Deluxe that they changed that I actually kind of think I might like the Savage Worlds Deluxe rules better. I'm not really comfortable enough with the system that I feel confident to hybridize the editions, but that there are one or two things that I feel like maybe were a little bit better about Savage Worlds Deluxe. Well, for instance, one thing with Deadlands Reloaded is I like the different types of bennies, the fate chips. Okay, so we have not found a single technician. Oh, here we go. I was going to say, where the heck are they? Found one here. Man, I miss a lot. Okay, that's one. Where the heck are the other technicians? They're not all hiding under the ramps, are they? Nope. So there are 2 left. I suspect there must be another level coming, because how are there going to be 2 just on this level? Or maybe there are, I don't know. Nope. This level's empty. So where the heck are the other 2 guys? How much did I miss? Is this going to be one of these missions that I have to autocomplete? So there's nothing on this level. Let's try this level. No, we've been here. There wasn't anything here either. Oh wait, there's a doorway. That's what I missed. Okay. We've got a lot of good, and most of the drops, as you notice, are SOs now. We've had a lot of good drops. That's good for cash. That'll bring in a lot of influence from the vendor. I know, something like 15,000 right there. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. Ah, here we go. Come on in, guys. Let's do an AoE or 2. There we go. Excellent. We have a bunch more salvage now. I just got rid of all my salvage yesterday, and I already have 24 more. got rid of it, meaning I put it in the base, in the salvage racks, and I completely filled up the 2 racks that have the white salvage. They have 200 total, 100 each. The other white salvage that I still had to take, that I still took off my character, was I put it in the vault. So there's still one more hostage. Where the heck is the other hostage? Guys, we are pretty close. 2 beads from level 32. 2 beads and a little, I think, right? Yeah, because it's 1, 2, and then 3. But that one's almost full, right? Each time this fills up, you get a bead over here. I actually really like the animation for that, too. Keep an eye on it. We'll probably level up at the end of this mission, and you can see the animation for it. They did such a slick job with this interface, I have to say. Alright, so this room is cleared. There's nobody hiding under the stairway or the ramp. Okay. I don't think there's anybody over here. Whoops. Nope. So guys, this is a superhero game. We talked about our favorite games and stuff. Who are your favorite superheroes? I always really liked Supergirl and Captain America. Those are probably my favorites in DC and Marvel. And, I mean, duh, right? This is basically like Supergirl wearing a Captain America costume. Yeah, that's kind of the idea when I created her. My best friend knew that I really liked patriotic characters and I was a Captain America fan. And he said to me, there's some really cool, Stars and Stripes options. You should take a look at it in the character creator. This was like the day it launched, or maybe even in beta. And so I had created my martial arts character, who was a magical character and magical symbols on her costume and stuff. It's a pretty cool costume. So I created that martial arts character, but then I wanted to create a tank, and that's when he said you should take a look at those options. And so I went in and I started fooling around with the Stars and Stripes and the red, white, and blue, and I came up with this costume design. Pretty much this is literally it. So let's just look at it. Whoops, no, go away. Let's look at it close up. So the originally the folded gloves, they were red, and so were the boots. The top was blue, the skirt was red, the belt was white. There was no cape, and we had definitely these stripes, and then the stars with the stars around it, right? The whole idea of, it's not the right number, but in the Revolutionary War, you had the 13 stars in a circle. And so that was sort of the inspiration. And then I went to come up with a name, and I always liked the Legion of Superheroes style of character naming, which is boy, girl, kid, lad, lass, etc. Okay, I'm missing something over here, I think, on the map. No. Looked like there was a little tunnel maybe, but no. And so, yeah, I always liked that. And so I came up with, okay, I want to do something, and I like alliteration. And I'm not sure where, like, actual Liberty Lass came from. Somebody, I think in one of the comments, it like sort of implied that, oh, did I miss all over here? I did. No, I didn't. Implied that I copied this character from Ms. Liberty in Atlas Park. No. I may have been to her by the time I made this character, but it was like launch day, and I'm pretty sure that my group in beta had gotten into the habit of using Galaxy City rather than Atlas Park. So I'm not sure if actually at that point I had been to see Ms. Liberty yet. I probably had, but I hadn't gone alt crazy yet. I had only played my martial artist, and then I played. I started her in beta, but after I played her a little while, I was like, no, spoilers. I don't want to ruin it. I'll play a character I don't intend to play. Um, and I have no idea where this other hostage is. What the heck did I miss? Um, I switched to, I think it was Dr. Cyclone or something, who was the like a storm defender, and I played him in beta just so that I would not kind of ruin the experience of leveling up my scrapper in live. And then I made up the scrapper, and I don't know, she was like third or fourth level when I made up Liberty last, so it was like it was either the day of launch or the second day. And I may not have been to Ms. Liberty. If I had, I doubt I registered anything about her or what she looked like or even her name in any detail before I made up Liberty Lass. So yeah, I never I didn't create her in the intention of like cloning Ms. Liberty. I always used to like patriotic, like Captain America style characters in Champions, and that's all this really was. I'm just hitting tab all over the place now to try and see if I can find where this last hostage is, but I think we're gonna have to autocomplete, guys, because I can't find it, and I'm not gonna. Oh, here we are. I was gonna say I'm not gonna fly around an empty room. How did I miss this? Didn't I look over here? I thought I did. I'm gonna have to watch the video again. I could have sworn I came over here to look for it. And that's the mission. And I think that is probably it for today, right? We have 42 minutes done, so that's a good solid episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I certainly have. Let's call our contact. Get another clue. Right, so we're still dealing with the Freakshow having their war against each other, and we're trying to stop them from destroying things while they do it. And actually, I'm going to head to the train station. Oh, one thing I did want to show, if you're looking for the merit vendors, there is one right here. Right here, near the train station. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere right here there's a badge. Right there. Just fly over the Meishu Bridge. We found an exploration badge. I've had a bunch of exploration badges. I think there's one over here on the helipad too, or near it. Or is it over here? There's somewhere near Manticore who gives you a task force. I can't remember exactly where it is now, but it's somewhere over here. So yeah, we got another exploration badge. We have quite a few, actually. So I don't know why it's now explaining it to me when I've already gotten all of these. Alright folks, let's stop here. I hope you've enjoyed. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.